Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to Raw on the boards and to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on the Wake Up at onthewakeupradio.com. We are also on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and now on iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. If you would like to donate to On the Wake Up Radio, you can donate $1, $2, $5, $10, or even $1 million. You can donate at PayPal at onthewakeupradio@gmail.com. Also, if you would like an advertisement slot, please hit us up at onthewakeupradio@gmail.com. The call-in number for On the Wake Up Radio and for this show is 646-547-1305. Again, I am your host, DC Radical One, and you can find me on Instagram at DC Radical, the number 1. So the topic of today's show, we're going to talk about the folly of celebrity worship. And, this is something that I see a lot on social media. And, for young people, they're really active on social media. They get their news from social media. A lot of their interactions with people is from social media. And, that's interesting. It's a technology that can be useful, but it's also a technology that can be dangerous because even though you're interacting with your peers and everything, we don't realize that maybe not as much as television, but social media can be tailored to shape our opinions and make us think that we're thinking freely when we're not. And nothing has shown that to me more than these recent things where I've noticed that when a celebrity says or does something, then they become the trend and the topic of the day. I'll give a perfect example. Right now, I've seen numerous Tekashi 6ix9ine memes. There's all types of memes of Tekashi 6ix9ine. There's a big hullabaloo about him snitching on his compadres. And, people are having fun and talking about it. And it's really the news of the day, seemingly in the black community, which is interesting because he's not even black. But it just goes to show how the things that celebrities do are the things that shape the narrative and shape the conversation in our community. Whether it's Tekashi 6ix9ine or Malik Yoba and his trans madness, or I think yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was, Fantasia, and she was discussing submitting to her man. And these things become the topics of discussion in our community. I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, there was some type of Revolt summit or something, which I believe Revolt is a television network for P. Diddy, if I'm not mistaken. For a while, when I just saw the Revolt thing, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have any idea. I was like, Revolt? Then I saw the people that had up there. I'm like, nah, these people aren't revolting against anything. And really, that's the topic of this discussion. The folly of celebrity worship is some of the things I see is, celebrity worship has been going on for a long time. Celebrities have had sway in our community for a long time. So that part, I'm not even disappointed in or surprised or anything like that. More so, it's the fact that there are people who claim they're conscious and woke and all these things, and they're really like paying attention and taking these celebrities as leaders in a way. And the reason it's disappointing is because Minister Malcolm X, 58 years ago, maybe nearly 60 years ago, warned us about these celebrities as being leaders. And he said that he basically said, you know, show him in the white community where a comedian and a trumpet player and a saxophone player and a singer are leaders in their community. You know, and he named some of the people of the day. And it is, you know, if he was still here, he would be like, I told you all 50 years ago. How is Killer Mike a leader in the community? You know, I'm not trying to disrespect him or whatever, but he seems to have a lot of sway and he says things and people pay attention to him. Whether they agree or disagree with him or not, it's the fact that he can shape the discourse by making a statement. How is T.I. a leader in the community? You know, if I'm not mistaken, you know, he's an admitted former drug dealer. And I don't know what he does in the community to have make amends for that. I have no clue. I'm not condemning him. I'm just saying, how is this type of person a leader in the community? And people will say, well, I don't think of them as leaders, but you follow them. You listen to their words. You comment on their words. They're leading the discourse. And so if they're leading the discourse, then they're leading us by extension, whether we want to accept that fact or not. And so I just find it very interesting because there are some people who are actually doing work, organizing, trying to do things. They don't get the attention. And then even if they get the attention and even if people try to help them and organize with them, things like that, they're held to an extremely high standard. But the celebrities can do whatever they do and they're still celebrities and they're still followed. And so this is the topic for today. And we're going to delve into this a little bit. And we're going to see, where does this come from? And how dangerous is it for us to consider these people as leaders? So I'm going to go on for about another 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and we'll finish it up. And so I'll just start with the fact that a lot of us don't seem to realize that no matter how much these people make, you know, the athletes, the entertainers, and so forth. So all of these people, really, for the most part, and I'm not aware of any people that have their own record labels now. I don't follow the industry like I used to when I was younger, admittedly. And I don't really follow the celebrities too much, other than when something goes viral, then it comes across my timeline on social media. But all of these people, whether it's LeBron James or even going back to Michael Jordan or whoever it may be, athletes, rappers, you know, the new rappers, seem like the new rappers come out and disappear within 5 minutes. All these people are, and the ones who aren't employees, like say Michael Jordan has gone past the point of being an employee in that sense. He's still, just him as an example, he's still dedicated to whiteness, you know. He's not and doesn't claim to be, he seemed like he's severed as many connections to the community as he can. And I've talked about him before and his history. And I'm just using him as an example. But as I said before about Michael Jordan, he's the quintessential, he's like the prototype of the modern athlete, if you will. Some athletes, they try to get more political, like LeBron led an effort, did some symbolic things as far as the when the Trayvon Martin situation came about, to draw attention to that situation. And I thought, you know, I commend him for that. And LeBron is very interesting because he seems like he is a very solid brother, very mature for his age. Always seemed like he's been mature for his age. And try to do some things that he thinks are positive for young people. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. Those things are admirable. It's just a matter of, it appears anyway on the surface, I don't know him obviously, that he may not have the information needed to make the type of impact he would like to make. And I'm just using him as an example of someone on a more positive scale as far as celebrities. And so really, you kind of look at it, you can look at it two ways. You have the celebrities who really don't have any idea what they're talking about, or don't really care about the community. And then you have the celebrities who may care about the community, but do not have the intellectual tools to be able to discern what is needed, what isn't needed, a proper ideological framework for dealing with the things that are going on in the community. And so you have these types of things that are taking place, but yet, I guess the masses of our people, because these are people that they see in front of them, they look to these people for direction and for leadership, despite the fact that these people are not qualified, and that's not what their job description is. Now, if an individual person takes it upon themselves to educate themselves, that's one thing. But LeBron James is paying. These rappers are paid to rap about sex and drugs, and it's obvious that's what they're paid to rap about, because that's all they rap about, and everybody's been rapping about the same thing seemingly for 20 years. And most importantly, when we talk about the whole celebrity thing, whether it's Hollywood, music, and even sports, the thing that we have to look at and understand is who's in control. Primarily, who owns the sports teams, who owns the TV networks, who owns the radio stations, who owns the record labels, who owns all these forms that pay the celebrities, who determines which celebrities will get shine, if you will, and which celebrities will get ignored. I mean, you have all these types of things that we never think about, but we just look at the celebrities and we look at them and we admire them and we see where they're going and we want to be like them. We want to imitate them and things like that. But let's be realistic. Most of these people, the vast majority, are servants, or maybe the servant's not the word I'm looking for, but employees of the Zionist small hats. If you look at who controls the media overwhelmingly, it's the small hats. The white so-called Jews, if you will, for those who aren't familiar with our term. And the term small hat is it's a term of endearment that we use to identify these people. It's a visual descriptive so that people understand who we're talking about. But I mean, if you just look and you do the research, these are the people who control the music industry. The Lyre Cohens, the Clive Davises, Jerry Heller at one time. These are some of the people behind the scenes. These are people that they sign the artists and they sign off on different projects and they determine who will be a big star as much as they can. As far as we're past the days really of people growing organically. Even in this social media age, you really don't have a lot of artists who just have an organic following, which is weird because in this day and age, it should be easier for an independent artist to go viral and expand, but I personally don't see it. And maybe people are doing it before they become part of the labels, but once they become part of the labels, the labels determine who gets radio play. That still happens, and that's been a thing going back, to the 50s and beginning of radio with the payola and all that. So when it comes to sports and everything, they may not be able to control who's the best player, but the media perception of people, they're able to control that. And also, the leagues can control who will play and who won't. The league can, as we've seen with Kaepernick, and I'm not a Kaepernick fan. I've spoken about him before, and brought out some information on him. But just from a perspective of sports and football, I find it hard to believe that there are 64 quarterbacks, just from a football perspective, that have a better skill set than he does. I just find that hard to believe. And so, but yet he's been, unemployed for 3 years now? At least 2 or 3 seasons? I'm not sure. Which is a long time, because a lot of quarterbacks have come and gone, and there's some teams whose whole season's been lost because they don't have a quarterback. Yet he doesn't have a job. And like I said, I'm not a fan of Kaepernick or supporter, but that just goes to show that, if they want to limit someone, or if they want to punish someone for speaking, or they want to, keep someone out the league, they can pretty much do it. That's the NFL. I doubt very seriously that the NBA or the major leagues or hockey or whatever are any different. And so that really just shows, more so than anything, the limitations of these people, and how, while they may be more high profile, they are just as much subjects or subjugated by white domination as we are. And they're in a better position financially, but at the same time, they can be cut off economically at any point, as we all can. We're all subject to this system. And so for us to look up to these people and in almost a worshipful way is very silly, and it shows a lack of political and intellectual maturity amongst our people. And so it's something that really, the masses of people are going to do what the masses of people do. I understand that. But for those people who claim to be, conscious and woke and, all these different titles and everything, with a number of people like that I see caught up in this celebrity worship, and it's very it's very disappointing. We should be doing our best to alter and control the narratives and try to steer our people in a direction of more productive discourse. And I know that's extremely difficult because, the way our people's minds are directed. But that should be, if we're going to quote these people, we're going to discuss these people, mainly it should be to point out some of the fallacies and some of the mistakes that these people are spreading and propagating, and to direct our people in a proper direction, where people have real solutions to real problems that we have in our community. I mean, the fact of the matter is that no celebrity by himself, and I haven't seen any celebrities really come together for anything to benefit Black people as a whole. In fact, more often than not, they seem to be doing something to misdirect Black people. And one of the biggest things, one of the biggest discussions, and one of the biggest ways that they're doing that is the push of the LGBT effeminization agenda. We've seen more celebrities, or I have seen more celebrities who are pushing for that than I've seen any celebrities pushing for any form of advancement for Black people, any form of African nationalist or black nationalist or pan-Africanist or definitely no straight black pride push from any celebrities or any type of progressive ideology that has to do with black people doing something for themselves, organizing amongst themselves, building amongst themselves, and doing any type of achievement amongst themselves. I haven't seen any celebrity that I know of. And, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really haven't seen any celebrity that I know of not only really advocate it or verbalize it, but to model their behavior. So, for an example, now I'm going to use this example real quick and then we're going to take a break. Killer Mike. Killer Mike has talked about various things and what black people need to do and what black people aren't ready for, what black people are capable of and what black people aren't capable of, and so forth, so on. And he's been doing this for the last couple of years. And it's interesting because he will spout what sounds like nationalistic rhetoric, but yet he's running around advocating for Bernie Sanders, the Jewish politician. I think they did some type of speaking tour or at least a couple of speaking engagements, and he was advocating for Sanders when Sanders was running in this past election. So, just to point out the contradictions, he's talking this nationalist stuff and what black people need to do, and you're not equipped to do this, and you don't know how to do this, and we need to do X, Y, Z, and so forth, so on. And I don't even listen to the details of what he says, but then you're running around with a small hat, and you're telling us that the small hat Sanders is the person that we need to vote for. So either A, in this example, either he's not aware of who Sanders is, he's not aware of the small hats, what their agenda is, the things they're pushing, the history between us and the small hats. Either he's not aware of that or he's disingenuous. And each one of those is dangerous for black people because I'm sure that there's some black people who listen to him. He speaks somewhat eloquently and he makes some decent points at times. So I'm sure there's some black people who listen to him. And if nothing else, he seems to always be on the forum and always be given the opportunity to have a microphone to speak his piece in these arenas where serious discourse should be had. And so he's just an example of a person a celebrity again, who's given a microphone, who's given a platform, who gives us these ideas, and he cloaks himself in nationalistic rhetoric, but yet he's walking around a servant of the small hats. And so that's just an example of the type of things we're facing and the type of people we're talking about, and the reasons why us worshiping celebrities is really foolish. And so what we're going to do, brothers and sisters, we're going to take a break. And then after we take this break, we're going to continue discussion and talk about some of the other things that have been going on, some of the other celebrities and what they've been doing. And then we're just going to talk about some of the voices that we may need to listen to and some of the things we need to do. So with that, brothers and sisters, we'll be right back after this break.
You're listening to On the Wake Up Radio, and now an announcement by Maxine. Contact her at maxlaw5948@gmail.com. That's MAXLAW5948@gmail.com. Enjoy.
Warning! Unfortunately, new information has come to light. All I can say is, I'm so sorry. It was brought to my attention that there are many problems being reported from people taking our nutrigenomic products. So, since I've plastered your newsfeed with the information I have, I feel it's only fair I report the problems. You may want to work out, clean the house, work in your garden, play with your children, and stay up past 10 p.m. because you have that much energy. You may have to throw out your alarm clock with the snooze button because you will wake up feeling refreshed and ready to start your day every morning. You may lose your relationship with fizzy drinks and chocolate bars because you just won't feel the same way about them anymore. You may have to answer a lot of questions like, wow, you look great. What are you doing? Or, how can I feel as good as you? Because people will notice the difference it's made. You may have to convince people who think you're lying about your age because healthy makes you look younger. If you do not have any of these problems, please contact me as soon as possible.
All right, brothers and sisters, welcome back to On the Wake Up Radio. Again, I am your host, DC Radical 1, and this is The Center. Again, the call-in number is 646-547-1305, and you can check us out at onthewakeupradio.com. Again, we're on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and now at iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. Again, shout out to Ron on the boards and our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. Now, we're going to get back into this celebrity worship discussion. And I'm going to talk about what I think is the root of it and why I think celebrity worship is a little bigger now than it's ever been. And I think what has contributed to this more so than anything else, I believe, is social media. Social media gives us a connection to celebrities that, or at least a perceived connection. I put it that way, a perceived connection to celebrities that we haven't had before the age of social media. And so celebrities can now, that they can talk back and forth, communicate back and forth directly with fans, interact with fans, without actually having to physically, personally interact with fans. But they can receive instantaneous feedback from fans in a way that they couldn't before. So just as an example, I heard an actor, and I can't remember who it was, and he was saying the difference between theater and film. So in theater, you get a direct, immediate reaction to what's taking place. So you can hear people laughing. You can hear people, let's say something sad, hear people crying. You can hear people gasp. So you get the emotional reactions from the audience immediately. Whereas a movie, they have to wait till the whole thing's filmed, then it's edited and processed, and they have the advertisement. Then the movie comes out, and they were saying that really, after that, all that's done. Then, if you sneak into the theater, you can see the reactions of the people, and then that lets you know how your film is received. Then, of course, the reviews and all that stuff. And so, I just relayed that to say that now in this age, a celebrity doesn't have to go through that process of waiting to hear how something is received or how people will respond to them, because they can just go on social media and have instantaneous interaction with people. Sometimes, as from their perspective, sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But from the perspective of the people, it means that these celebrities appear more accessible than they are in real life, really. And so I think that appearance of accessibility makes it so that our people now are even bonded more with celebrities than maybe in previous generations, because there was a clear barrier, the further back in time that you go. I guess for my mother or maybe grandmother's time, someone like James Earl Jones or Sidney Poitier, the fact that they live on the East Coast, the chances of them interacting with them in any way, shape, or form at that time, it was so remote. Short of you taking a trip to Los Angeles and, happen to bump into somebody in Hollywood or whatever. The chances were remote. In my day and time, when I was young, the chances of running into a rapper short of going to New York and having to go to some club or something like that. I remember one time actually I went to a show and I was meeting with a couple of brothers, and it was so funny because they were like, "Man, you just missed it." I'm like, "I just missed what?" And as a rapper, J. Rue the Damager, he's one of the people we want to see. He's like, "Man, J. Rue was right here." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, J. Rule was right here. You just missed him. He just left." I'm like, "What was he doing out here?" And it was so funny. He's like, "Man, he was asking us where the weed spot was, man. He was trying to get something before he went on stage." So, it was hilarious. But, short of going to a show and something like that occurring, you're not going to, we weren't going to meet our favorite rapper, or if you went to a game, you might get an autograph from your favorite athlete or something like that. But there would be no sustained interaction with that person. But with social media now, I don't really actually follow too many celebrities that I know of. But with social media, it still gives you the feel that you can interact with the person. And if nothing else, you can voice your opinion about the person. You can express yourself to the person. I'm sure people get all types of stuff, but there are there's some celebrities, they're more on social media than others. And, from my understanding, they read their own social media. They do their own social media. They do respond to people. Seem like they respond to more negative stuff than positive stuff from what I've seen. But yeah, they do things, and some of them probably do things just to maintain the connection with the fans. And so that type of thing draws us in even more and gets our people, I believe anyway, this is my theory, more endeared to the celebrities. And it's only a bad thing because it's something that Brother Irritated Genie said, wow, it maybe been at least a year, maybe 2 years ago. I was observing some things, and he's like, wow, they're going to use these celebrities, man. He determined use these, like, they're going to weaponize these celebrities. And they're going to use these celebrities to push this LGBT agenda. And, I listened to him and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense, because our people really listen to celebrities, and I can see that. And so now we look up, we've seen Will and Jada Smith with their children, and this stuff with, I can't even remember the son's name, but he had a modeling contract, and he's dressed up like a girl. He's wearing a whole dress. And then the daughter, she's just weird. And then they're talking about, Will and Jada talking about their relationship, and they got some open polyamorous type thing happening. I'm not really sure. It's just some things I've heard, like the whole details of what's going on. I haven't delved into, but I've just seen how they've raised their children, and how Will Smith has, without question, failed to raise his son as a strong black man. You can talk about whatever else you want to talk about, but I think that, that speaks for itself, and it's self-evident. And then, so after you have Will and Jada, now you have Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. And, this thing with them is so dangerous and so wicked and evil, where they're taking his son, because I don't think he has any children with her, if I'm not mistaken. Or if they do, they're very young. But from my understanding, this is his son from a previous relationship. And they're saying that his son, who appears to be all of like maybe 10 or 11 years old, he identifies as being LGBT. And my whole thing is, why is an 11-year-old even thinking about sex and sexual orientation? And does he even understand what this whole thing means. And so this is very dangerous because one of the things we see, not just with him, but with others, but we're just using them as an example because we're talking about celebrity worship, is that this is part of the sexualization of children. And again, as our brother H.A. Jenny said, the only people who are interested in sexualizing children are pedophiles. The only people who will be interested in turning boys to girls are European pedophiles. Because again, this is part of their history. It's called pederasty. And I forgot to mention, I did a lecture last night, Africa versus everybody. And part of the lecture, part of the discussion, I talked about pederasty, and I talked about the African love concept versus European love concept. And so going back thousands of years, at least 2,500 years, maybe 3,000 years, this has been part of core European culture. And their love story of Zeus and Ganymede is a clear example of this. And I never knew how popular this love story was, so I started doing the research and started seeing that there were a lot of depictions of this in the Renaissance period. And so that, if you go to a museum, people like Rembrandt have painted this painting of this story. And just briefly to go over the story goes that Zeus, the king of the gods of Greece, was just overseeing his territory, scouting the area, and he looked and he saw a beautiful boy. And to him, this was the most beautiful person he ever seen. And so since this is the most beautiful person he ever seen, he's like, well, I'm going to go after that person. And so in the story, Zeus transforms himself into an eagle. He swoops down from Mount Olympus, grasps Ganymede, the boy, in his claws, and carries him off. I don't know if he carried him off to Mount Olympus or some other place to make him his lover. And so when we look at culture, you can tell a people's culture through their cosmology or their religion and their art. And so the fact that this is part of European cosmology for years, and this was passed on, from the Greeks to the Romans, and the fact that it was still being depicted in the art thousands of years after the original story, just goes to show how much of a core part of European culture it is. And so here we are now, even though we're not Europeans, we've taken on the European mindset. And so now we have Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, and they're grooming their child to be sexually violated by pedophiles. They're grooming their child to be utilized by pederasts. Because, again, effeminizing males is a European construct, and effeminizing and utilizing and having a relationship with grown men and adolescent males is a European concept. So if you know that and you understand that we're in a white supremacist society, why would you make your child a target, and why would you allow your child to be effeminized? But again, if we look at Dwayne Wade, since he's been with Gabrielle Union, he's been wearing more effeminate stuff. His clothing style has changed. A lot of tight pants and high water pants and things like that. So since he's been around her, he's been effeminized. And so again, these are people that people look at as celebrities, and people look at them as a black couple in love and a representation of black love and things like that, because they're both brown skinned. So, and it's sad to say, it's something that a lot of people don't see nowadays, is two actual brown skinned even dark-skinned black people who are famous together. And yet people will see that and see that as a positive. But then what do we see? We see that those people are pushing the LGBT agenda. And then you had someone like the young singer Ari Lennox. And she just went off on a tangent and talking about there's no LGBT agenda, and just all this stuff, and how beautiful gay love is and all this and that. And yet she's made music. She's made some. I'll be honest. I was becoming a fan of her music. She's making some music, talking about black love, and she had a brown skinned brother in her video. She's a brown skinned sister. Fairly attractive sister. And so it appeared, at least when I was looking at the videos and listening to her music, that she was making music celebrating black love. And then out of the blue, she just goes off on this tangent about being a homosexual. And I don't know where it came from. I just saw part of the tweets and I'm like, wow, okay. I guess I should have known. So I had to remove her from my playlist for some of our events. And then here you have Malik Yoba. And he comes out and he talking about he's attracted to trans women. But then I saw his white wife. I'm like, yeah, of course you are. Because she looks like a man. I mean, I'm just being completely honest. I saw his wife. I'm like, if they didn't say that they had children, if I didn't see the children, I would have thought she was a man. And then he's trying to say that if you're attracted to trans, what did he say? If you're attracted to trans women, you're not gay or whatever. Look, man, let me just state this clearly. A person born male with male genitalia and an XY chromosome is a man. I don't care what that person does. I don't care how they mutilate themselves. If your chromosomes are XY chromosomes, you are a man. And if you are a man that's attracted to another man, you're a homosexual. It's that simple. There are billions of women who are real women, who are born women, that have female genitalia and have two X chromosomes on the planet for a person who's a celebrity at that to get with. So if they choose to bypass all of these people in order to get with another man that just happens to have a wig and a dress on, you're a homosexual. It's that simple. And they're trying to confuse us, and they're trying to use, again, these entertainers to push this LGBT agenda and try to confuse us and bamboozle us, not only into accepting homosexuality, because a lot of our people did that with Obama, but now to accept this transgenderism and try to say that if men don't agree with the transgenderism, that something is wrong with you, when all you are is a man that's attracted to a woman, which is what you should be, because that's the way it's been for millions of years. But now all of a sudden they want to have some celebrity tell you there's something wrong with you because you like women, and specifically black women. Now think about it. Where's the celebrity that comes out and says specifically that he, as a black male, loves black women only? That's all he's dealing with is black women. He don't want to hear nothing about none of this transgenderism, this racial, interracialism, any of this other madness and nonsense. Where are they at? I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying I'm not aware of them. So I'm asking a legitimate question. Where are they? And if they don't exist, then why don't they exist? See, even if you see a black man with a black wife, that doesn't mean that he will hold the line against these other issues. And so again, we are sitting here worshiping these celebrities, looking to these celebrities for leadership. And these celebrities are slaves. You know they're slaves because they wouldn't be pushing this agenda. Whether they're mental slaves or economic slaves, they're still slaves. So if you follow a slave then you're a slave. And that's the reality of the situation. And so, again, we have to really be careful. I'm not saying people shouldn't listen to music. I'm not saying people shouldn't indulge in entertainment. I understand the reality of the situation. We're in a society where we're constantly oppressed, we're constantly vilified, we're constantly denigrated, we're constantly under attack in all areas of people activity, education, entertainment, labor, war. We're under attack. And so finding something to take your mind off the attacks, finding something to ease the tension, finding something to relieve the stress, there's nothing wrong with that. That's natural. But there's a big difference between that and worshiping celebrities. And so for me personally, I just would like to see that we understand that difference and we be mindful of that difference. And that we understand that these people, while they may very well be in a better economic position than us, in many ways they're in just as bad or worse psychological condition as us and educational condition as us. And so for us to look to them for leadership or validation or to champion our causes, if they do so, then that's great. But for us to look for that, I believe it's foolish. And I believe that we have to look at our elders and ancestors, those who have fought for us and died for us, and look to them and look to those who are on the front lines today for true leadership, and be willing to actually come out and aid those people and do something in our own communities to help ourselves and help better the condition of our people. And I think really that's the most important thing out of this whole discussion, is that celebrities aren't going to save black people. And I'm going to say that again. No celebrities. Celebrities are not going to save black people because it's not part of their job description. And we have to get out of that. Because I think that sometimes, especially some people who claim to be conscious of woke, they kind of look for celebrities and hope for some celebrity backing and some celebrities to represent our causes. And we're looking for them to save our people in a way. And so many people who they may have turned against formal organized religion, but have turned away from the worship of Jesus. But many sisters have turned from Jesus to Beyonce. And the simple reality of the situation is that neither of them are going to save black people. And so I just wanted to put that out in the atmosphere, give us something to think about. And hopefully someone will hear it and think about it and say, and reconsider and take an assessment of whether you've been partaking in the activity of celebrity worship. And once again, as I said, Malcolm X warned us about this 50 years ago, and we would do well to heed the warning from my dear brother Malcolm X. And so before I close out, I just want to make a couple of announcements. Straight Black Pride Movement is having the singles mixer. The next singles mixer is October 12th at 7 p.m. at Everlasting Life Cafe, 9185 Central Avenue, Capitol Heights, Maryland 20743. Again, the event is free, and we're going to redo the game night. We didn't actually get to the games last time we did the game night, so we're going to do the game night. And if you're in the DMV area and you're single, you're straight, black, and you're proud, come on out and support. Also, a week after that, I'll be giving another lecture. The title of this lecture is The Death and Rebirth of the Goddess Black Woman. Again, that's a free event. That'll be at 6 p.m. the week after. That's October 19th. 2019. Again, the death and rebirth of the goddess black woman. And if you're in the DMV area, come on out. The people that came out to the lecture that I gave yesterday, Africa versus everybody, they really thought the information was profound. The people online, they said that they thought that the information was profound. I put a little bit of it online on Instagram, and so come on out, fellowship with us. You can meet me, and let's come together and let's build. So with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to conclude the show. Again, I say a BB for Hodier and straight black pride.
Imperial Media Collective.
Cindy Ashby Productions.
On the Wake Up.